Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. It is really late. It's nighttime. Pretty soon it's going to be the middle of night. But I just finished A Million Junes by Emily Henry, and I wanted to talk to you guys about it real quick while it was still fresh in my mind. This book I picked up from Book of the Month Club. It was the selection that I made for June. Very unlike the things that I normally read. Not simply because of the ages of the main characters, but because it has a fantastical element to it, some magic involved, dare I say, supernatural, mystical kind of things going on. To be honest with you, the main reason that I picked this book up or chose this book over the others that were featured this month is because it is set in Michigan. For those of you who don't know, Michigan is my home state, and I am obsessed with reading books, especially fiction, set in Michigan. So, A Million Junes is set in the northwestern Lower Peninsula. It is a fictitious town of Five Fingers. However, the book frequently references Torch Lake. And if you're not from this area and you're unfamiliar with Torch Lake, Google that sucker because it is absolutely breathtaking. Obviously, in Michigan, it's hard to be an inland lake. You don't get the love that you deserve because we're kind of lake poor, so to speak. We got a lot of water going on. We do. So it takes something incredibly phenomenal, either in size or in beauty, to be affecting. And Torch Lake is absolutely gorgeous. It's amazing. So I was really happy to see that region of the state represented. It also talks about cherries. There's a lot of cherries in this book, and I'm not being metaphorical. I'm being serious. Literally, cherries. And also in the northwestern Lower Peninsula, we have a city known as Traverse City that is famous for cherries. Traverse City cherries. Between the lake and the cherries, it was, it all came together for me. Also fun is the references she makes to some Michigan-only things, or at least primarily Michigan things, like Meijer. And it's a chain superstore like Kmart and Walmart. Before Michigan had Walmart, we had Meijer, and then Walmart took over the world. But we still have Meijer, and it's way better. But anyways, besides the point. For that reason alone, I was really excited to read this book, and it did not disappoint. It really spoke very highly of the area, the world in which the story is set in, and so it was heartwarming in that way for me, and nostalgic. People from Michigan, I think, will appreciate that in this book. The book itself is about a high school senior named June, or Jack, or Junior. She's got a lot of names. And June's family has somewhat of a legacy and a epic feud with another local family. Right away, we get a very Romeo and Juliet kind of vibe. There are two families in this very small town that absolutely despise each other. And June is an 18-year-old in one of the families, and she quickly comes across the 20-year-old son of the other family, and sparks fly. The rest of the book becomes about resolving the feud. First, solving the mystery of what the feud is all about, and then finding a way to overcome it so that everybody can once again be happy. This is a heavy book. It's not literally in weight. It's heavy. It's heavy in tone and theme. When I say that these two families are cursed and that they have this feud going on, I'm talking about painful scenarios, tragic scenarios that happen to both families. And the book gets very emotional at times. It's painful at times. That said, it's sort of beautiful in its pain. It's written very well with this rich and kind of lush romantic language. If you ask me, the writing of the book actually lends itself well to the magical, fantastical elements. It sounds like a book about magic. It sounds like a book about destiny. It's just written in this wonderful way that enhances the storyline. As far as characters are concerned, I like the main characters of this book very much. I don't think there's any characters that I had a problem with. I feel like they're all individuals. They all are good people. They're all very likable. We've been talking a lot on BookTube about unlikable characters, but that's not the problem here. All the characters are very likable. There is some confusion because, like I said, the main character's name is June or Junior or Jack. She's Jack the Fourth. So there are a lot of Jacks, and it does get a little convoluted and a little bit confusing keeping the story straight between one Jack and another, especially when we're referring to somebody's great-grandfather or somebody's great-great-grandfather or somebody's great-great-great-grandfather. It can get a little bit messy. The book does come, though, with a couple of family trees in it, in case you get incredibly confused. So we have the O'Donnell family, which is June's family, and the Angert family, which are their rivals. Saul Angert is June's love interest in this book. Overall, I would give this book probably 4 stars. I don't really care for star ratings, but to give you guys just a reference point, I liked it, but it wasn't a super good book for me. First of all, the content, it's just not something that I normally read. It's a little out of the box for me, and it's okay to dive into once in a while, but I typically find that I'm not that attached to content like this. Like I said, it was well written. That's probably the best thing that it had going for it, with the exception of a few points in the book pretty much towards the end where I just wanted things wrapped up. I was like, okay, I get it. Let's move this along. Like, the imagery and detail in this book is phenomenal, but I almost got to the point, especially around the climax, where I got lost in imagery and detail instead of just pushing the story forward. So outside of that one little nitpicky thing, I mean, the writing is really well done. The last thing that I can say about this book is that it was touching and emotional, and I was choked up a bit. This book deals with tragic loss and the problems that arise from holding on to anger, the hope that is lost or gained through reliving the past and playing the what if game. And then it addresses, or at least theorizes, some afterlife stuff. I personally have not experienced a lot of loss in my life. I'm actually very, very fortunate that I haven't been through what the characters in this book have been through. That said, I think that if you are someone who has experienced loss in your life, this could either be a very wonderful book that you would fall in love with, or it could be painful. So just something to keep in mind. I mean, at the end of the day, it is still a book. It is still beautiful in its pain, like I mentioned before, and I am really glad that I read it, especially for the setting and nostalgic Michigan elements. But I would recommend it if you are a fan of new adult and mystical or magical or supernatural elements and beautiful things. It is very beautiful. Now go Google Torch Lake, Michigan. What are you waiting for? I'll see you guys later.